Bartail has been one of the persons who's watched all the shows. I talk to him on a regular basis in the EverQuest Next IRC channel.
What we saw with, Kunark for EQ2, you did those 400 quests, you did all the content, and at the end of it, the world wasn't changed.
Yeah, I'm Phantom X. I do social media and write articles for EQ Nexus.
For the Fall of Bastion, there was a very definite, okay, this is where your story is going to fit into the world.
Listen, fluffy looking bear. Thank you. Listen, I went and I killed a dragon, and then 2 drops of whiskey hit my face, and I willed this manly beard into cow was raising. Yes.
Hello and welcome. This is the EverCast show, connecting gamers with a game they play. EverCast is a EQ Next and a Landmark podcast. I'm one of your... what did we decide last week? I can't remember if I'm supposed to say normal or regular hosts, because you guys giggle at both.
I don't think you can get away from the giggling.
Standard?
No.
Okay. I'm one of your standard host, your normal host, your regular host, whatever you want to call it. I am Tamlin. This is episode 52, which we have titled Three's Company. If you've ever, what was it, late 70s sitcom with John Candy. Come and knock on my door. Because it's one guy and 2 girls. Anyway. Hey, I'm Tamlin. I'll let my other two hosts introduce themselves, tell you a little bit about what they're up to these days.
I'm Kai, and I've been playing Final Fantasy lately. Yeah, John Ritter, by the way, not John.
Oh my goodness, I said John Candy, John Ritter. John Ritter. Hey, they're comedians, and they're no longer with us. I'm sorry, I mixed them up.
Too soon.
Too soon. True.
Hi, I'm Lucy, and sorry I let go of my button because I'm dumb. Hi, I'm Lucy, and recently I've been playing, Guild Wars 2, and a little bit of Landmark. I logged in recently to look at the changes in the newest update.
Yep, I logged into Landmark the other day too, and this morning to check out the changes and play around with it a little bit. What have I been doing? I tweeted out that the text-based MMO that I used to play, they made their conversion to free-to-play, which is probably about 5 years later than when they should have done it. But they've gone free-to-play, so I logged back into that, and it's a lot of fun, and in this unique sort of way. And I want to relate it to EverQuest Next in a way, because like I logged in and I created my character for this Dragon Realms game. It's text-based, and I wanted to play a thief, right? And you think it'd be easier to go to character select and be like, bam, I want to be a thief. But no. Oh, we lost Lucy's picture. So maybe when she gets back, there, it even says it. Hold, there's a problem. Looks like her server went out. But I'm going to keep going for a minute. You think it would be easy to play a thief in a role-playing game, but the thing is to be able to play a thief, you have to be able to find the Thieves Guild, which is you have to think like a thief. Like, where would you go if you were a thief and you wanted to join the guild, and what would you do? And I thought that was really interesting. It sounds like Lucy's back.
Hey, Lucy, I'm home.
If it was in EverQuest Next, what would it be like to have to find the Thieves Guild? Like, I hope it's not easy. I hope that they make it really hard to find some classes. Not all classes, because you should be able to. Oh, there's the the temple over there, there's some sort of priestly class I bet you I could find in there. That's a simple one, but like a rogue thief class should be easy to find. Oh, looks like Lucy's joining us. It's a good thing
I think I lost internet connection.
But the avatar thing that we had talked about doing, it totally worked out because I could turn off your camera and there was that picture of you that remained.
The shiny
So
pink buttsuit.
yeah, it was. That's the name. That's what I gave the name of that picture. It's the shiny buttsuit, Lucy.
Well, it's what I named it too. So awesome.
Yeah, didn't Colette actually call it that new? So
That-
it's like
She
totally
did.
official.
She totally did. It's completely official, and I'm so excited.
So I think that's it for introductions. I want to thank you all for joining us. If you're listening to us for the first time on iTunes,
I know we're on iTunes. Oh my god!
that's our first little bit of ECast news. Is that Flatus and I finally figured out how to get the show uploaded and the feed into iTunes. So if you are listening to, if you have an Apple device of some sort, if you would hit follow or subscribe or like or whatever on your iPhone Apple device, we'd really appreciate it. Yeah, we have multiples in the house.
Oh god, yeah.
Even though I'm
Sorry,
not a big.
I have an Android. Isn't it cute? I know.
It is cute.
Sorry.
So yes, if you're joining us for the first time on your Apple, on iTunes, on Apple products, we're the EverCast show. I think I mentioned that before, where we talk Landmark, EverQuest Next, and MMOs in general.
Oh, also, I have to do this because Flatus isn't here. Today we're doing What's Lucy Drinking? And Lucy is drinking Menage a Trois Chardonnay. It's Three's Company. I had to.
That puts me in a very interesting position. See, it's you that makes like the sexually inappropriate or appropriate jokes in the show.
Lucy or me?
Either. It's normally not me.
Right. No,
Oh,
I
yeah.
totally didn't just set you up that at all. No.
Right. So Flatus is like, if you followed us on Twitter, Flatus is currently in the process of moving, so he's going to be missing us for the next couple of weeks as he finishes his move. In the meantime, we're gonna keep on doing what we do.
Since Lucy got to do it, there is water in my giant Starbucks cold coffee cup, and then I have the brand new flavor of cappuccino that's s'mores.
EverCast brought to you by
Starbucks
and Monster.
and pussy juice.
And pussy juice. I don't have any today. I'm sorry. We can go with Coke Zero.
Hey, you know what?
I'm sorry, guys.
Someday we're gonna have. Did it? Oh.
Oh god.
All right.
It's only when you drink coffee too, and I don't.
It was water that time. At least it was just water. It's good. It's good.
So, moving right along. EverCast news. The Keynotes competition in Landmark is currently ongoing. You expect them to finish up the competition sometime before the end of when they do the wipe, which we'll talk about just briefly. Yeah, when we talk about Landmark Live. So, other news. I'm going to plug Project Fanfare one more time. Let me just switch over to the web pages. Project Fanfare is currently on Kickstarter. If you want to back it to be able to show up and attend, this is how you're going to pre-order your tickets for the event. It's very important that it meets its funding goal, otherwise it's not going to happen. If you're not going to go, but you think that it's an awesome idea and that you'd like to attend in the future, you might want to donate ahead of time to this one to make sure that we keep going with it. Okay. Claim upkeep has changed. I think I mentioned that before. Mm-hmm. But the wipe is coming. that they're going to do a character and claim wipe, and I think that this is actually a really cool idea because of all of the changes that they've done to the tools. I'll talk about that a little bit later when we talk about Landmark Live, because I have some ideas that I'm just going to throw out there to the community. The last little bit of ECast news is Dave Georgeson answered a tweet, and it's funny because the person that asked the question is in chat, and the question was simply, why do most MMOs limit to how many characters you have per account? And Dave answered, no good reason. And he further explained, he further went on to explain that it used to be because of the UI only had so much space on it that they limited so that you filled that space and that you didn't overfill it. But now they can just add a scroll bar and you can just continuously scroll all your different characters. And I have two thoughts on that. One, I actually look forward to going back into playing MMOs that don't have class restrictions, because I don't want to have more than one character to be able to accomplish all that I want to accomplish. So like
I always need more than one character to accomplish what I want to accomplish.
But like in Final Fantasy, I was just about to bring it up. Like if I want to play one class, I don't have to make another character to play a different class, because those classes aren't, restricted. I can play as many classes that I want. EQ Next plans on being the same way. Like you have one character, can be any class that you've unlocked.
I'm so excited.
You're really excited. Would you guys still think that you're going to have alt characters? Oh, okay, honestly, I'll probably still have alt characters.
I like having a red-headed, green-eyed character, and then a black-haired, green-eyed character, and a curly-haired, and straight-haired, and chubby, but not chubby, but yeah, I will always have alts.
Yes, because I like playing different races.
Yep.
Like I'm making elf, and it's gonna be a high. Well, they're not gonna have wood elves, so it's probably gonna be a high elf. And I also want to play a fairy as soon as maybe an RSI, maybe if they give me the option, because they have pink hair, and that's just cool. But I like to play the little ones.
Yeah, see, I need to really get invested a lot more in the lore before I play another race other than human ever again, because as I'm older and I'm more sophisticated, and I don't want to play I don't want to play a dwarf as a short human with a Scottish accent. I don't want to play an elf as just like an aloof, creature. I want to really I want an understanding about what makes them what they are that isn't a human, because a lot of times they're just different dressing on a very human mindset in different ways. And if there's reason to support that, then I'll probably play more characters that aren't humans. But until then, I'm just going to stick with a human. And so the whole idea of playing other races just Okay, let's have the look on her face.
No good reason, we're good.
And then
I like to play whatever's opposite. Like I like to play, like for example, Lucy in her first incarnation was a human shadow priest human priest that I was leveling in World of Warcraft. She's my very first World of Warcraft character, and I realized priests suck to try to level when you're a healer. And I eventually went shadow with her, and she was actually like I got frustrated with trying to level a priest for my first character because it was a little challenging, and I eventually made a druid, and she went all the way up to 80, and I went back and was leveling my priest, my Lucy character, and I was so like bored of the content because I had done it all at my druid that I leveled her drunk. Like your character can drink, and it will completely change the levels of the mobs that you're fighting to be like look lower level than they actually are, or higher level than you think they are. It does, and it's weird. And like the screen was all fuzzy and I could barely see stuff, and it just provided a challenge for me that I thought was hilarious. And that's how my character originally started to be called Lucy the Lush, because every time I would type in guild chat, it would come up with a little hicks and like the hiccups and the stuff like that. And that's how I leveled my first character. And I decided, since I had to go shadow to level, she was going to be a plucky shadow priest with like tons of like optimism and like, I'm going to melt your face now. And that's how I leveled that character. And that's how
I knew
picked
that
RP characters.
I knew that when you got drunk in Warcraft, it makes the screen fuzzy, and it also makes your walk weird because you don't walk straight line anymore. Because drunk, you don't walk in a straight line. I didn't know that it would switch the character, the mob levels that you're looking at, and that actually sounds like a pretty cool idea. If they would do something like if they took the quest text and had a drunk filter, so that if you read it sober, it said one thing. If you read it like inebriated, it would say something slightly different. If you read it smashed, totally different quest text.
I loved the fact that I was like, my character was completely drunk, completely hammered, and I'm looking, like, I'm sitting here squinting at the screen because it's all blurry, and I'm like, I think I can take it. Like, because the mob looks like 3 levels slower than it's supposed to be. Like, yeah, I totally can take it. Melt face, melt face, melt face.
That's
Like,
really cool.
I wonder if that makes really not very attractive NPCs look way more attractive.
Well, I think that's a very interesting, because I'm always interested in different variations on how to level your character, right? Like you can level just by doing quests, you can level just by doing dungeons, you can do the Iron Man challenge. There's what's his name, the Agent Zero in Warcraft. He leveled his panda all the way to level 100 without choosing a faction. There's another way where you can level to max level without killing anything by using your harvesting professions. And so I think that should be another variation, is to level in a game all the way to max level, completely smash the entire time. And see,
somehow this doesn't seem like something that you would support.
Me?
Okay. Yeah, you.
I might do it.
and you'll appreciate this, guys. What I got smashed on was the Horde faction. What is it? It's like a
Is it
like a blood
Moonberry?
No,
Moonberry
that was
one?
ours that we traded to you guys, because it was the druid one. It was the night elf. It was like some sort of like blood elf, like whiskey or something like that.
Oh, I think I know what you're talking about.
But it was the drink that you could only get by trading with Horde players through the neutral auction house, and that's what I leveled her on. She was so, like, when achievements finally came out, it was like, favorite drink, this one. I'm like,
go here. Yep. Going back to the original question about character limits and the alts and stuff like that. It also, like, my second thought was that when a free-to-play title is thinking about how to do its like, how do we monetize the game so that we can get paid for making the game and providing it for you, right? Because we're not charging you a subscription. I'm dropping a few frames, just looking, because I'm using new software, so it's making colors at me over here. I'm sorry. I've always thought that character slots was an honest way of charging more, especially on a free-to-play account, because if you've got an email address, you can create another account, you can create another character. So really, the only thing that you're providing to them is that you don't have to log all the way out of the game, log into a new account to switch between your characters. Fair enough?
Okay, I'm following you so far.
No, that's it. There's nothing more. That I think that is a reason to limit the number of characters on an account, is on a free-to-play account or free-to-play title game, you charge money for people to have more than one character slot or to add character slots to the account.
That seems reasonable.
I did on Guild Wars 2. I have one character slot for every single class, and I think I doubled up on Thief because I wanted to have every single race too.
Makes sense. Yeah, I'm insane in Warcraft because I am one of those that I have one at level 90 of every single class. I'm deciding whether or not I'm going to do it to level 100.
Oh no, he will.
Well, maybe I'll find something that's more fun to play than leveling, like Lucy was saying, like after you've gone through the questing and everything once, it's kind of boring. And so it's like, well, do I really want to do it 11 times?
You could just come and play Minecraft with me.
I could, but I don't like Minecraft.
You know you haven't played it.
I've watched you play.
One more turtle. I'm like, I feel like this is a conversation they've had before.
Oh yeah.
Is it, well, the other thing is that if Minecraft was a free-to-play game, I might try it out. Because when
Okay, I'll buy it for you. Shut up.
But that doesn't make it free. That just means that you bought it for me. When a game is free, I feel a whole lot more inclined to check it out, to try it out, to see what I feel, to see how I feel about it. Because like I do a talk show about gaming, and the more variations of games I can find, the better for me, because that gives me different perspectives to draw upon when drawing an opinion, right? So yeah, if it's free, like I'll give it a try. So yeah, what do you? I mean, anything more
But
about?
I bought you Final Fantasy, and you were totally okay with that.
Yeah, because it's not a free title.
Neither is.
But I wanted to. Okay, so there's the big difference.
Oh, there, and the
Wanted
truth comes
to-
out. No, I want to play that game, but I
Didn't
don't want to play Minecraft.
Play Landmark.
I'm over here being Switzerland.
Right? We should have moved the camera so that you were in between us. Right?
I don't want to be the buffer.
Scanlan should have been in the middle
I
anyways.
will always buy more character slots if they are available to me, because I like to, first of all, from an RP standpoint, sometimes you want to create a new character. Just to play, just to try out a new story, just to try out a new personality, like that sort of thing. Or sometimes, like when I was running story arcs for my guild, I would need an NPC or something like that to just throw in to like talk to the characters and give them a quest or give them information or something like that. Like at one point there was a kidnapping and I needed to be like a guard or something like that. It was fun. Anyway, so I made a new character just to do that. And I will always buy character slots. And now that I know that they're just doing it to make money, I'm still okay with it, because I will pay to support a game that I like.
Yep.
Period.
Yeah, and I always like I'm the worst when it comes to free to play games, because I always feel challenged. Like, how do I pay for this game? How do I spend money on it? Because I don't like buying outfits and I don't like buying like a lot of stuff. You know what? I can buy them and give them to my wife. But we actually brought up, and I want to come back and talk to it as like a full-on topic for conversation about paying for character animations. And the reason this came up is because I've straight deleted many night elf females in Warcraft because I hate their caster animation. It is the most ridiculous thing in the world. And
that's why you make a druid and you be cat.
Or Owlitzer.
Boomkins. Just cat.
I leveled one as well. It was a Tauren that I leveled because I mentioned I had one of every at 90, and I leveled as cat, but I'm going to try it again as Boomkin just to see the difference. Anyway, so going back to the point though, is like if you could buy. She had coffee in her mouth. And she just about spit it out again. I'm gonna
wait until she's done to say this. No spell casting. Druids are for fights.
Okay. I lost it. But it doesn't have to be a druid. It could be a night elf priest female, because their cast animation stays the same. And we're talking about
Isn't it like the one where they look like they're about to lob a softball at your face? Oh,
no,
that one.
That one where they.
I think the male one is where they're about to lob a softball at your face.
The night elf animation for the male as a caster is also not very good. And I thought that like you could, like if you had a free to play title that had one standard animation and you wanted to customize it, you could purchase your own your own animation to make it look different. And I know that EverQuest Next when they were talking about it at SOE Live, like they're putting a lot of thought into animations because like your different fighting styles are going to show up based upon what armor you're wearing and what weapon you're using. So I don't know if that necessarily is going to be applicable to EverQuest Next because they're going to have so many animations for combat to begin with. But we'll just have to see. I just know that like
Yeah, that just hit me, like how many animations they're gonna have to have. If there's 40 classes and 8 races, and all of the races can be each of the classes, but they did say that class animations are gonna be similar, so you know what somebody's playing.
Right,
so there's
and that's
that at least.
Right. Because that's what you want to because in a game that doesn't necessarily have hard classes. I'm going to use Warcraft as an example, and I hate doing this, but in Warcraft, you can just, like in PvP situations, you can turn on enemy class bar colors so that you can see the color of their class on their health bar, and it's like, oh, problem solved. I know what I'm fighting just simply by clicking one button. But in a game like EverQuest Next, where there is fluidity in the classes, like there's no telling what one person's class is. There's got to be a way for you to like assess the information that's available and make a choice based upon what you think you're fighting. And animation is one of the ones that they pointed at. Is like we want to use animation to provide information about what not only what the characters around you are doing and what they are, but also the enemy characters. Boy, that went on. We talked about putting up a tangent alert. We totally needed that right there.
I will try to make a tangent alert.
Flashing.
I don't know that I can. That's smart.
So basically, just make it triggered every time I push my push to talk.
Okay. No.
That
So
seems fair.
When Tanlin talks, it's tangent alert. When you talk, it's sexual innuendo alert.
Or rant. You go on rants.
Okay.
Hashtag sorry not sorry.
I don't know what mine should say.
Rant. PvP rant. Kyla's about to lay a verbal smackdown.
I wonder
Warning,
if that would work.
Does not play well with others.
If you just like randomly like walked up to somebody who is like annoying you and punched them in the face and said PvP RL and then walked away, do you think that would
Yeah, I
work?
can totally do that.
I'm sure that there would be phone calls made and party lights.
You call them party lights, I call them other things. He calls police lights party lights.
Party lights.
I call them sex lights because somebody's getting fucked.
Moving
nice
right
way.
along.
Right?
So between last week's show and this week's show, we actually got a huge amount of feedback. Enough that we can do an entire segment on just the feedback that we received. I have them in an order, but I think I'm going to move the order around. One of the things that we got feedback on was pronunciation, because that was one of our topics from the last show. And Kylest, your friend was saying that there's a difference between regional dialect and pronunciation, right?
Yeah.
Or mispronunciation. There's a difference between mispronunciation and regional dialect.
That's
and
right.
I thought about that all week long and conceded, yeah, that's a fair point. But still, and another reason I thought that was interesting to note is because when somebody said Oregon, I was like, but it's Oregon. And that was again.
Sorry. I'm sorry.
Right.
I didn't know any better.
And that's exactly my point.
Oregon.
It's like I think that's a huge difference. Is that like
better?
You're so cute. You're so cute.
Is that
I grew up playing Oregon Trail. I'm sorry.
You're
That's the way
okay.
they said it.
It's okay.
You don't
know.
say Washington, do you?
You didn't know.
Good. I don't care either way. I think for one thing, it's not a big deal. It's not so much of a big deal that you need to make an issue of it during your Landmark live show. But then in retrospect, I was thinking about it, that we were thinking about like how if you've never heard it before, you can assume all sorts of pronunciation and the authenticator. Gwenny Wiver, right. Because if you look at the Drizzt's Panther companion,
Dritz. You say it wrong.
Whatever.
His companion's name is not Guinevere. It's Winnie Wiver.
I don't want to get onto like is it pronounced this way or that way. I just want to point out that if you're making assumption on how things are pronounced based upon how you've read it and you've never heard it pronounced by someone, you can make all sorts of assumptions. That doesn't make your assumption wrong. That doesn't
make it right.
No, but if you're curious about when the person who created the city of Kinos first came up with that name of that place as Kinos, and he was deciding that it was pronounced this way, and you had only seen it written down and made an assumption about the pronunciation, I'm not going to say that you're wrong in any way that you assume to read, because I think that the English language is far too complex to be like, oh, you read that wrong, because then we get into the quesadilla and the fajita type arguments, and I don't want to go there again.
It's so good that Flatus isn't here right now, because I know that he would say it. And the sad thing is that I saw the word written out the other day, and I said it in my head the wrong way, and I was like, Flatus!
I am sure that he is watching the show right now going, ha, I got her to yell my name loud. Wahaha! Because I know Flatus.
Anyway, I lost my point.
Sorry.
The point I was trying to make is that if you are interested in knowing how the author or how the creator intended something to pronounce, and you go out looking for that information, I think that it is fair for that author to provide a pronunciation guide for you. I totally disagree with there being a wrong pronunciation for something.
I grew up reading rather than actually like interacting and talking to people, because books are cool. And I'm in the same boat where I definitely like read the word, and sometimes when you read the word, you pronounce a certain way in your head, and then you can't get that pronunciation out of your head. Like a lot of the fantasy books that I used to read, I'm not sure if anybody's a David Eddings fan in chat, but I have like every single one of his books. He's my favorite author, like almost ever. But I was basically went through middle school with the Pawn of Prophecy series, and
somebody asked what I was drinking. I was trying not to interrupt.
No, that's cool. I'm easily distracted. But
I know.
Okay.
Squirrel.
I come back. Squirrel. What? I come back. It's okay. So I read the names, and I pronounced them a certain way in my head, and then talking to somebody else who read the books too, I'm like, oh, you pronounce it that way? Oh.
See, and then we get into that whole Mallorean. Do you call it Mallorean? Maloria?
Maloria. So the first
Malorian.
gift Hamlin ever got me was every single one of that series of books.
True.
All of them.
I don't even think we were really dating at that point, were we?
Yes, we were, because you bought them for me on March 14th. We had officially been dating for an entire month.
One whole month. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and they're sitting on the bookshelf behind us.
Yes.
Anyway, so yeah, we're huge David Eddings fans in this place. But I wanted to concede that point in our feedback that yes, there is a difference between mispronunciation and regional dialects. It's a fair point. I will
especially
concede that.
When your game is international and you have people who are used to putting syllables together in a different way than you are.
Totally true. And I love the idea of doing like a Tolkien-esque thing where you can have one language family pronounce things one way and one language family pronounce some things totally different. But I know he was a linguists professor at creating languages, and so I think that he has an advantage when it comes to that sort of thing.
Maybe a little. And Lucy, I like books too, but I'm really, really weird about what I read. Ask me what my choice books are.
What are your choice books?
Dictionaries, thesaurus, and technical manuals. I will read them cover to cover.
That's awesome.
So, the next little bit of feedback that we got was on the size of humans, because there was the graphic that we threw up after on the show last week that showed like the races superimposed on top of their voxel on their voxel outlines. And over the week, I was like, you know what would be really cool if I put real people in their approximate size next to those voxel outlines, so that people could see like where because we have a point of reference. And I'm going to throw up the image right here. So like, hey, here's a large human standing next to Arnold Schwarzenegger. There's a Karen standing next to Shaquille O'Neal, and there's an ogre standing next to Yao Ming. And I posted, I was like, this is based on the assumption that the human, the large human in this picture is 6 foot tall. Because if you go 6 foot, 8 voxels, it turns into 9 inches. We went over the math, okay? And people said like, wait, what do you mean? I assume that a large human is like 6'4", 6'5", and that the normal human is 6 foot tall. And I'm just gonna have to say that we're gonna have to disagree. We're gonna have to agree to disagree, because
I'm a halfling.
Yeah, because
Me too.
I'm not saying that you're wrong. I'm saying like if you are 6 foot tall on Earth, you are tall. Period. In my mind, you might not think that you are. You might think that you're average, but no. And to me, there's only a small population on the planet that averages 6 foot tall. The United States is not among them. The average in the United States is like 5'9", 5'10" for men. That you're looking at like Germany, Denmark, and like Sweden or Norway for the males
Vikings.
Right. So, but Vikings aren't normal humans. They're a segment of the population, and if you take the entire human population on Earth, we're not 6 foot tall. If the
They had dragons.
If the Norathian, now I'm thinking dragons. If the Norathian humans going to be average at 6 foot tall, that's fine. But I'm not making that assumption. I could be wrong. We'll find out. And if I'm gonna throw the picture back up, so that I can describe it a little bit more in detail. In the picture, I have Arnold Schwarzenegger, who's like 6'1", 6'2". He's standing next to the large human. He's a little bit taller than the large human in the picture that I've thrown up. If the large human was 6'4" instead of 6 foot tall, Arnold would be about to the middle of his ear. In the picture that I provided that's up there right now, I have Yao Ming, who's 7'6", standing next to an ogre. If that were, or if a large human is 6'4", then the ogre also increases in size, and Yao Ming shrinks about a half voxel dimension on the picture, shorter than the ogre. So he comes up to about the ogre's, nose, chin, somewhere in there. But I think the important thing about this picture is that, wow, the human race goes all the way down from smaller than a dwarf to almost as tall as an ogre without any sort of magical fantasy effects thrown in there. It is true that if you're a tall human, you're more likely to be in the National Basketball Association, which is why it was easy to find Shaquille O'Neal and Yao Ming as tall humans. But I think the tallest human on record was over 8 foot tall. So he would be taller than the ogre in this picture, regardless of whether you went with 9 inches per voxel or 9.6 voxels.
I really think that anything over 6 feet tall should just be in the ogre category.
Anything over 6 foot tall is now an ogre?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So what else we got? Feedback. Let me pull it up, the outline. We got to ask the question earlier this morning about in-game maps. I find them so useful that I have okay, everybody have your drink on standby. I'm going to talk about Vanguard. Vanguard was my first MMO. It had a mini map, but the mini map was crap. That said, I love mini maps in the game, and I would hate to go back to the way things, go back to the way things were. I don't want to do that. I love the mini maps. But what do you guys think? Do you think that they add or subtract from the experience?
I want to have to be a cartographer and make my own maps through exploration.
That's really cool.
I know. Why you married me?
Old
I'm
school.
amazeballs.
Old school, like old school NES, like games where you had the you had like a torch and you had like this much area around yourself that you could see and you had to map it yourself. I loved that. But I am so bad at navigating. I will just like go in circles if you don't give me a mini map. Like I'm literally like squirrel?
Yeah,
I'm so bad.
I can go to two places. Like when I was playing Ultima Online, not Ultima Online, Ultima 4, the Quest of the Avatar, there was no in-game map. There was a cloth map that they provided, and you didn't have a sextant when you started playing the game. Like a sextant was one of the items that you could acquire through gameplay, and then when you had the sextant, you could use it to find your location. So
I think I remember that.
Right. So through gameplay, you would discover a dungeon, and if you had the sextant and you didn't want to forget where that dungeon was, you would have to keep a journal and be like, okay, the entrance to that dungeon is at these coordinates, and you would use your sextant to relocate if you got it moved away from it. But on the other hand, Final Fantasy, the first NES version of Final Fantasy, did have a map. There was no mini map, and when you went into a dungeon, I don't think it showed the map. But when you were out in the world, I remember that there was a big map that showed where you were on the map. Unless I'm mistaken. It's possible. But I think I'm with Kylest. Either out of game, on my own, freehand drawing a map would actually be kind of cool. I would just hate to have to do it for every single freaking cave that I ran across. Like, okay, here's these mobs that are in this or in this cave, and if you go into this cave, you better have a good sense of direction or make a map while you're in there, because it may be a medium-sized cave system, but you're going to get lost.
I think it would be really cool if we could be cartographers and like make our own maps and then sell our maps. So I could sell the map that I have complete on the marketplace and then buy a map that somebody else had made. That way I can start expanding my map and add their map to my map, and I have like this region here, and then I have the map for that region over there.
But
I think that'd be really
I will
freaking
trade you
cool.
maps for outfits.
But see, in 3 months, I think that in 3 months the maps would be obsolete, because
And people who don't want to deal with maps would be okay in 3 or 4 months.
no, in 3 or 4 months there would be one standard system of maps, and it would be like, you need to buy this map and you need it because this person made it and it's the best one out there, and all other maps are inferior. I think it would be cool, like how they used to do it, like in the cartography, the real world cartography profession, to keep other industry or other map makers from plagiarizing your maps. You would put deliberate flaws in your maps, so that if people recreated that, you could point and say that flaw, like this city does not actually exist, and we added that to our map.
To keep people from stealing it?
Because we know you stole it. Because if you were actually doing your job, you would not have that city because it doesn't really exist. That would be actually kind of cool.
My only comment about that, even though it would drive player economy for the first little while, and actually with a procedurally based environment, it might drive the economy for even longer, because you wouldn't have found all of the different cave systems as a cartographer. Like, a cartographer person wouldn't have found all the different cave systems to map it for a while. But either way, My only criticism is that I don't want to have to tab out of the game in order to find something. I hated that about EQ2. I always had to have a separate like screen up, or like my laptop set up or something like that, or like alt tab out and play in windowed mode to have like the wiki up, because I have to go to this person and get this quest, and then this person this quest to get the heritage quest to pop, and I hated that. I want it to be intuitive. I want to be able to just be in the game.
Yeah, in that text-based role-playing game that I've found myself in, it's like, oh, I'm playing the game on this one. I have a map open on this monitor, and I have the Wikipedia open on this monitor, just so that I can get around in the game. Yeah, that's an honest, how do we get around doing that? I don't really have an answer.
I almost always play my video games with some sort of something open on my second monitor.
Should we make it a requirement? I mean, should you need to have two monitors to play an MMO in today's MMO playing?
Do you want me to turn the camera so you can see his setup, guys?
They should know by now how many I have.
How many of those did I get for you?
One at least.
2 of them. He has 4. 4.
Right, but I don't use all 4 to play a video game.
Only 3 if you're playing Eve. Oh god, it's so gorgeous.
The Eve is really pretty, and that's why I want to play. Tangent alert! That's why I want to play Elite Dangerous, because it's like a spaceship simulator, and I could stretch it out across 3 monitors. It would look really cool. But should we need that? Should we?
No, I like it. I don't think it should be a requirement, but I don't have an objection to doing that when I'm playing video games. How about that? Does not bother me.
It bothers me because I only have the monitor.
Oh,
Yeah.
Fair enough.
Okay. Last bit of feedback. And this was asked specifically to me. I made something about servers locked into a specific story. This is feedback on our episode 49. I forget what the actual question was, but I've always said that if in the story of EverQuest Next, there's a rallying call where the players are basically tasked with defeating a lich. Like, should Daybreak write it as if the lich could win and the players could lose, or the players could switch side and be on the lich's side and defeat the Kinos and take it over for the lich, that type of thing. And I don't think that Daybreak will do this, and I want to explain a little bit why. Is that in a perfect MMO world, I would say that you write the story reactively, that the players go out into the world and they do stuff, and then the game developers look at what the players are doing and react to it, and they say, okay, these are the players are off doing these things in these areas, so we should create a story to follow what the players are doing. But I don't think they're going to do that, because if you have 20 different servers, then you have 20 different avenues that the story could possibly go because you're following the players. I don't think that they're going to do that. They're going to do it proactively, where they lead the players down a path. And when you are leading, you could be like, okay, the lich wins or the lich loses, and then you create your own story tree from there. But you're always one step ahead of the players, and so you can create all those different divergent paths. So regardless, Daybreak is going to have a control on the story in the servers, no matter where they branch out to, because they're not going to have an infinite number of branches available to them. They're going to have controlled branches that Daybreak already knows the outcomes of. It just happens like it's a choose your own adventure, right? So you have 20 servers, so each server is given their own version of a choose your own adventure book, and Daybreak has written the same book for every server. It just, what page did they jump to? Did they jump to page 29 or did they jump to page 89? And that's my answer to that.
A good DM will have multiple different paths that the players, or characters in your MMO, can go down, and they all lead through some twist of fate to the same decision, so that multiple people can choose different things. You still feel like your choice mattered because whoever won got this outcome. You know what I mean? For example, like if there were multiple ways in the Dryad versus Dark Elf way to get the Dryads to win or to get the Dark Elves to win. For example, you could kill all the Dryads, or you could collect a bunch of resources to fuel your pool of darkness that sucked souls. I remember the explanation vaguely, but a good DM will make sure that every single character has multiple choices to choose from, and it's kind of like an illusion of choice sort of thing where it still leads to one of two outcomes. And that way you can plan for one of two things happening, but still have the players feel like every single choice they make makes a difference.
Absolutely. Yeah, this is your experience is totally unique, and you get to go down your own path. It just so happens through the mechanics of storytelling that those paths all lead towards the same direction, regardless of which path you take to get there. And that's all we had for feedback, because we had quite a lot. I think that we should go to break early, unless you guys want to.
Nope, break early sounds great.
Okay, so we're going to go to break early. We're going to come back and talk about Landmark Live a little bit more, because they showed some amazing new tools, and we'll talk about that. I picked one of the videos, Kailas picked one of the videos, and Flatus picked the third video. I will introduce my video. I'll let Kailas introduce her video, and then come on, it's Flatus. His videos need no introductions. They're generally pretty comedy oriented. So my video, it's a short 40-second video. One of my friends that still lives and works in Seattle, he quit his job at Amazon, and now he's his own indie developer studio. He's working on a game, and it's got a kind of a unique concept, something like not anything like what we were just talking about, but it's story based through episodes, so that every week he's going to be putting out like a patch to the game that will give you about an hour or 2 hours of content. You buy one season and you get them, but they're spread out over the period of months, like a television show. And he calls it episodic content. And so I think that it's a really unique idea on how to incorporate how our television viewing has been with video games. And it's like I said, it's a short 40-second introduction to that game.
I love Tarbot's animation because they do really cute videos for StarCraft 2 and World of Warcraft and Diablo.
What are Carbots? Carbots?
Carbots. It's the name of the animation studio, Carbots Animations.
Awesome. Okay.
Because they have cute Zerglings. I can't believe that they can make the Zerglings so freaking adorable, but they make the Zerglings totes adorbs. Oh my god. I totally did not hear her, but okay.
Oh, I just lost it. Totes adorbs.
Adorbs.
Okay. All right. Who wants to camp us out? And I will get those videos.
Lucy.
Oh, me! I'm camping. You guys ready? You guys ready to camp? Do you have your marshmallows? Get your marshmallows. We're doing this.
I have s'mores.
Camping. Oh, there you go. You've got a pre-assembled s'mores. You don't need marshmallows. Camping in 5, 4, 3. That's 2, 2, 1.